All right, today we're stepping right onto the fencing strip. We're going to dig into the science of what makes an elite coach tick. We'll explore how psychology can turn a talented athlete into a true champion, and we're using the lightning fast sport of fencing as our guide. So, let's jump in.
I mean, think about it. Fencing is one of the fastest sports on the planet. An attack, a parry, a counterattack, it all happens faster than you can blink. So how on earth is that even possible? Are these athletes just born with some kind of superhuman reflex?
Well, here's the secret. It's not an innate gift. It's pure science. According to the research we're diving into today from a thesis by Charles Alexander, those split-second reactions, they are meticulously, carefully built through psychological conditioning. They aren't just instincts. They are deeply ingrained habits.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute core problem every fencer has to solve. How to make the perfect decision when you have quite literally zero time to think.
You see, when you're under that kind of pressure, your conscious thinking mind is just way too slow. Our source material makes it clear that elite performance depends on bypassing that slow, deliberate part of your brain. Through intense, repetitive training, the right responses become totally automatic. The body just acts. And this isn't magic, it's the result of neurological pathways built wire by a great coach. And that, of course, brings us to the coach. If these reactions are basically programmed into an athlete, then who's the programmer? This is where we need to completely reframe what a coach actually does. I absolutely love this quote from the source. What a powerful idea, right? A great coach isn't just teaching you how to stand or how to move. No, they're designing your behavior from the ground up. They're an architect, building an athlete's instincts brick by brick.
And the main tool in their toolkit? It's called behavioral conditioning. Think of it as a scientific method for building habits. It's all about using specific triggers, which we call cues, and strategic rewards or reinforcements to forge those automatic reactions we've been talking about.
So what's actually in this toolkit? Well, it's packed with some of the biggest, most foundational ideas in psychology. Let's open it up and take a look. First up, you've almost definitely heard of this one: classical conditioning. Yeah, Pavlov and his dogs. This is all about learning by association. So, in fencing, a coach might drill an athlete over and over. As soon as you see your opponent's blade drop, you attack, period. Eventually, the blade drop becomes the trigger, and the attack becomes the completely automatic, conditioned response. Then you've got the other side of the coin, operant conditioning, from B.F. Skinner. This is all about learning from the consequences of your actions. So if a fencer pulls off a perfect parry riposte and scores a point, the coach's praise or the point itself reinforces that move. It makes the fencer much more likely to do it again. It's all about strengthening the good stuff. Now, what's the real difference between the two? This slide breaks it down perfectly. Think of it like this. Classical conditioning shapes your involuntary, automatic reflexes, like flinching when someone feints at you. Operant conditioning, on the other hand, shapes your voluntary choices, like deciding to use that killer move again because it worked last time. The best coaches are masters at using both. But here's the catch. You can have the best toolkit in the world, but it's totally useless if you don't know how to adapt it to the person in front of you. A coach can't just be a psychologist, they also have to understand how people grow and develop. And this slide shows you exactly how that works. The research pulls from the work of giants like Piaget and Erickson. So for a 9-year-old who thinks in very concrete terms, you stick to clear rules and structured drills. Simple. But for a teenager who's figuring out who they are, a coach needs to offer choices, give them some autonomy. And for a young adult, focusing on the team can be a huge motivator. You see, the method has to match the mind. Okay, so that's the theory, but let's get practical. How does a coach actually put this all together in a real training session? How do you really build a habit from scratch? Well, it all comes down to this simple but incredibly powerful little cycle called the habit loop. It's just 3 steps. First, there's the cue. That's the trigger. Your opponent's blade drops. Second, there's the behavior, the action you've been trained to do. You immediately lunge. And third, there's the reward. You score the point or you get that yes from your coach. You repeat that loop enough times and the brain just takes over. It becomes automatic. It's a habit. Now, when it comes to those rewards and corrections, there's a kind of golden ratio that elite coaches swear by, and that number is 4 to 1. This is the 4 to 1 rule. For every single time a coach offers a correction, they give at least 4 bits of positive reinforcement. And this is not about being soft or just being nice. It's a strategy. It creates a training environment where athletes aren't afraid to make mistakes. It builds resilience, it builds motivation, and it helps them see errors as just opportunities to grow. It's like building psychological armor. And here's where we kind of zoom out, because what's so fascinating is that this systematic way of building a skill, it's not just for fencers. This is a blueprint for learning pretty much anything you can imagine.
Seriously, think about it. Learning to play the guitar, learning a new language, getting better at public speaking, all these principles apply. You need clear cues. You need that habit loop of repetition and reward. You need that positive reinforcement. And you have to understand that making mistakes is just part of the game. This is a universal formula for mastery. So, as we wrap up this explainer, the real question isn't about fencing anymore. It's about you. Now that you know this blueprint for building a skill exists, what skill are you going to choose to build?